Okay, so I totally love that I just saw your cup because normally we try to sit here with like our cute little teacup. So I saw you've got just like a big thing, right? Like you're just pouring. I wanted to say thank you when we first started, right? Because I had surgery last week and I've gotten some of the sweetest gifts. Tachi sent me a little like get well pack and it came with this, but it's got a lid. Right now I have cocoa. Lily made me cocoa and it has a straw too. So like because I've been having to stay, like I'm sitting up right now, but I've been having to stay laying down with my foot elevated above my heart and icing and all the stuff, you know? So I look ridiculous trying to like eat or drink anything. So I'm like, you know, so I got this from Tachi and it came in a little box and it had like a candle and like little hair clip. It had like little goodies in it. But I'm like, this has been a lifesaver because I've got my little straw. And I'm like, doo, doo, doo. And then I wanted to say it was so sweet. Dia sent me, this is like, I was telling you about this. Esther Price is like Ohio's, and I don't know where else they are. I just know she's in Ohio, so I know this, but it's like their C's candy. She sent me this amazing box of candies in a book. And I was like, Dia, thank you so much. She had sent our family these once before and we were like obsessed. They're so good. So that's been my like get well chocolate. And then Janice sent me the sweetest little card that I just loved. I thought that was so cute. So I just wanted to say thank you first and foremost to everybody for your sweet messages. And then those of you who sent little things and just people in the church and everybody being so helpful, right? It always stinks when somebody goes down for something and then like the mom goes down and now Brandon, my husband, is sick. So he gets sick yesterday. So now we've got like some like cold fever nastiness rolling through the house. And we're like, the last thing we need right now is for everybody to get sick. So I was excited to have a nice cup of cocoa. So I love that you didn't even know this. I hadn't even shown you my cup, but we're both sitting in here. Like both of us always go for like the cute little mug. And both of us are sitting in here with sometimes you need the bulk and something that won't spill.
So I didn't know you hit record because I was looking down.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I went to grab my cup as that was why I was looking down. And I thought, oh man, I don't even have a cute little teacup. What am I doing? Oh, and then you hit record and I was like, well, this is what I got. So, this is what I got.
Yeah.
I needed something substantial.
You needed substance today.
Yeah.
Well, I'm totally looking forward to this because, as you know, I've been laying in a bed for a week now, with like 2 to 3 months still to go. And, but you know, it's funny. I know I was telling like you suffer with like chronic sickness and serious issues. Like most people don't even know this. Like you're waiting on brain surgery. Like you have all kinds of like serious medical things. I had something that I needed to get done. Yes, it's painful, but it's not like it was brain surgery. It was my foot, you know, like, yeah, it needed to be done. And then I think I got to tell you, but when I did go for my checkup this week, they actually had to do a couple extra, the surgery took a little bit longer than they expected it to. Like they gave us our expected time. And then as soon as I like came to, you know, what's so funny is because I had to go under anesthesia. I was so nervous about like the dumb things I might say or do when you're not with it. I was so focused on that like the moment I came to, I was like, ask intelligent questions. Like I was so psyched out. So I remember the first question, you know, Brandon sitting in there, the nurse, I guess I'd been there for like an hour. I'm like, how long did the surgery take? I just started asking all the questions. Like, I was so afraid that I would just be saying dumb stuff. But I was like, I'm going to ask the questions. How long did it go? Was everything? Like, I was like going through like my checklist, like I would do. Cause it's usually me in there for like, I'm the designated go to the hospital person for our families. Even for my husband's family, like I'm the one who does the thing. So I remember trying to ask like all the questions anyways, cause I didn't want to be that person that was like, what?
Recorded and then put on YouTube because of the silly things that you said, because those are the videos that my children think are the funniest. And every time I go under anesthesia, they're like, Dad, can you record her when she wakes up? I want to see how stupid she is. And I'm like, guys, I like everybody says stupid things when they're under anesthesia because it's the things that are on your brain and it's not cohesive. But that's mean, guys.
Yeah.
My daughter was hilarious. She kept trying to tell jokes to the nurses while she was she's under anesthesia. She's waking up and she's trying to tell jokes. What? Dude, you just got your tonsils removed. You had made like a whole big old surgery and you're cracking jokes? Okay.
So it's kind of the cutest story, but my brother, because Brandon and I have been dating since I was 14. So my brothers were like 9. So he's essentially been their second dad, like their whole lives. And my brother had to have some sort of tooth surgery, something, and had anesthesia. And when he came to, he needed Brandon, like crying. Like, Brandon's at work. We're in high school, but Brandon worked at like our local movie theater. So I'm like calling and I'm like, I don't know what to do, but my little brother is literally like crying for you. Like, he just needs you. And I think we got Brandon to like take a lunch break or something and come by the house because he just needed Brandon. It was so funny. We were like, it's okay. I don't know what to tell you. Like, he'll be here soon. But yeah, I was so focused on not wanting to ask something. So I asked the question and I remembered them telling me how long it took. And I was like, that's longer than like he said it would take. So I just like, but I knew well enough that like I wasn't quite there to like dig into the details. So anyways, I had my follow-up meeting this week and things were a little worse off than they originally anticipated. I guess that's what happens when you've had this issue since you were a kid. So they actually had to do like 2 additional procedures on top of the already like multiple procedures that they had to do. And he was like, so yeah, this is probably going to account for why your pain is so much right now. Cause we actually had to shift and move and add and da, da, da. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, at least now we know. So yeah, I've done a lot of like, I keep sleeping. Like, I know you deal with serious stuff. Like, I know you get this. And I know we've all laughed and kind of like, haha, Heidi doesn't sit still and da, whatever. But it's like, it's ridiculous how exhausting it is to recover. Like, I'm so tired and I feel so lame because I've done nothing. Like, I thought I'd already have more stuff done by now. And I don't.
I think it's a very large mental shift when you go down or you can't get well, to reframe the idea that success and progress is not necessarily the things that you see around you, that internally your body is doing a great work. Like, it is mending together and building itself back. And like, all of these things are happening and you just don't see them. So your body is more tired because it's doing a lot of internal work. You're just not doing all the work. So you don't see it. And I think that's a big shift. If success is only the things that you can see around you that have been accomplished, when the success is internal, it's really hard to like count.
Yeah. I made myself a little like, because hopefully I have to heal first, but the sooner I can get bearing weight on my foot, the better, to help with the muscles not getting all locked up and whatever, because the physical therapy will start soon, all the things, whatever. So I can move. It's just very limited, right? You can't do too much. And I can't even do that. Like, I can't really bear weight at all still. And so I'm having to like scoot around. And it's so funny. Like, my dad was in a horrific accident a handful of years ago, and he lost a leg. And he's talked with us about how he realized, he never used to think of stuff. He just did it, and I know I didn't lose my leg, right? Like, it's not like as bad as what my dad went through, obviously. But like yesterday, I worked so hard to get myself, because I'm trying to make sure I'm still getting up and moving, right? You feel that like in your lungs, like just like you're not like exerting what you normally do. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm still, getting up and doing some stuff, to keep some movement, well, in my limits. I make it all the way into the kitchen and I'm like, yes, I'm going to refill my cup. It's time to take some medicine. Like, I'm going to do the thing. I forgot the stupid cup in the other room. Because I can't actually, like, I have to use my hands to like get myself. I forgot the cup. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me right now. Do you know how long it's going to take me to trying to go get the cup to even get it in here. And then once I get it filled, like, how am I even gonna, oh, kids, can somebody come help me? I can't do it.
I think it really is one of those moments where you don't realize what you take for granted until literally it's taken away. Yes. And I know it's like super duper cliche to say. Absolutely. You won't miss it till it's gone. No. Yeah, sure. Like whatever. But no, movement, the availability of walking, like sitting upright.
It's so big.
It is. It's really, really big. And it feels to like, yay, I did it.
Yes.
But it takes a lot of effort.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, because I know my son has taken pictures of me randomly and sent them to you because he's like, oh, I'm showing Miss Brina this. Like, I was so hungry yesterday. My husband comes down with this horrible fever. Which of course, when all of this happens, sure, let's all get super sick on top of it, right? Like, why not? He gets super sick and the kids are trying so hard to do all the things. It's super cold out, so they're not getting to go outside like they normally do. Olivia is bouncing off the walls, right? Like, there's no backup. And everything's just like, okay. And we're not a family that sits around and watches TV. Like, so we've had the TV on more than it's ever on, but that's just really making things worse because like, we don't just sit around and watch TV. So then everybody's like, anyways, it's a little bit, and it was going great until my husband got sick. And now it's like, oh gosh, now we don't have like anybody, to be there. And, so I was like, I am starving. I have not eaten like all day. And I want like real food, not like, I've had some like protein yogurts and like little things, but I was like, I want something of substance. I want real food to consume. And so I got up and I went over and I was like, okay, I even had like pre-made seasoned chicken. So it was really just heating stuff up. It's not even like I was like gourmet cooking anything, but I was like, I'm going to make myself like a chicken bowl, with some stuff. So I'm over there and I'm like, luckily we have a small kitchen, but I get myself set up over there, like doing the things. And then I just see my son come in. He's like holding up the camera. He was like, yeah, I'm sending this. But it's silly, right? Because you're like, that took so much energy. And by the time I got done, I kind of like fell into the chair and like ate it. And then I was like, can somebody carry me to bed? I'm done.
I have used up all of my energy cooking. And then when it comes to eating, I literally don't have the energy to eat. And then I just sit there and I'm like, I can't do this. And I literally sleep. And I know that sounds so silly, but it's what happens. And so my husband, quite often when I get into this, when I get down, he takes over the cooking so that I can at least eat a meal. And then
let's save those reserves for the eating instead of expending them on the cooking.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yep.
I am hoping though it's supposed to warm up a little bit this weekend, and I got that amazing. I'm telling you, that stupid egg chair that I got. Like, I know it's like a silly thing, but I love it so much. And so I told my husband, we have like a couple steps to get out of our house, so I can't leave the house by myself. But I was like, hey, if you're filling up to it this weekend, you think you can like chuck me over to the chair so I can like get some sunshine a little bit and like sit outside. So that's my like big goal for the weekend that I'm pulling for.
I see you putting a board down and just with your like office chair and then just putting your other feet up and just
it's fine, guys. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. It'll be okay.
Yeah. Anyways, that's what we've got going on around here. And I know you deal with this type of stuff all of the time, so I even feel silly, like silly to say it. But I think it's one of those things that, like, I know I just kept thinking of all those things my dad always, talks about now, I mean, it's so difficult for him getting around in his life, having lost his leg and all the health things that have come because of it. But I'm like, man, you like feel that like when you're not getting up and moving, like I feel it in my chest, so like trying to get up and like exert and move. But then something like that, when I got in the kitchen, I was so proud I did it. And then I was like, I forgot the stupid cup. You've got to be kidding me. Like, I give up. I'm done. I'm not wasting every ounce I have left. Because if I go back there, I'm not even going to like come back again. I'm just going to be done. Anyways, it's crazy. So I know last week, so your household was sick and you guys have been trying to play the like get feeling better. And I think it's because your family is allergic to California. So my mom and I were actually talking this morning that you guys will probably not get healthy until you all get moved. But we did share in the prayer gathering on Wednesday, just continued prayers for all of this is we are putting together all of the pieces to get your family like officially moved out here for many, many reasons. But one of them being because then chatty coffee dates are going to be so much more fun when we can all sit around and like have chatty coffee date. And I'm telling you, I found this venue. I'm obsessed. And the moment I can put pressure on my foot, I told my husband he has to take me there. I just want to be able to walk into the building without looking like, you know, a psychopath, like dragging my leg around. So as soon as I can do that, he's taking me over to this venue because it is like, it's going to be perfect to host people, like heavenly minded home community this year. And so I'm really super excited, of course, for you to get out here. We're gonna go over, we're gonna check out this place. And I was like, man, I can just picture it. Tables with the pretty little teacups and saucers on all of them. And we can like have a real chatty coffee date. I am so, so, so excited. And I don't know how it's all gonna come together, but it will somehow, I think. I'm really, really excited to play pieces. I know I have like real things I should be focusing on. And I'm like, ooh, how do I find it?
Chatty coffee dates will look a little different than this, possibly.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Looking forward to the lovely, right? Putting a focus on the lovely. We'll get there. It won't be me with a busted up foot and a pair of sweatpants. It's going to be those lovely ones.
You know, we can all hope.
One day. We'll get there. Right? Lord willing. We'll get there.
So, you want a question?
Sure. Let's go.
Okay. I know your family eats carnivore.
Mm-hmm.
Does this include your biblical feast meals and your special dinners that you do on the nice china that you share with others? I'd love to hear what these lovely meals consist of. What's a meal look like in these feasts and gatherings together? Do you cook non-carnivore options for your guests?
So we, our family started carnivore a year ago. It's the beginning of last year. I think so, right? I think it was like beginning of last year. Right? Okay. I'm like, wait a second, when did we start this? So we, which I've shared the story about that before, and we have a whole playlist of carnivore videos. Because I thought my husband was crazy, but we had been trying plant-based. We've been trying so many different things. I was having hormonal issues, weight gain, just things that were driving me crazy. And my husband had talked about this carnivore. I thought he was nuts. Like, that makes no sense to only eat meat. Like, how is that healthy? But I really was just kind of at my wit's end with everything we had been trying. I'm a very active person. I'm a very like health conscious, type person. Like I am, and I wasn't getting results off of all the things that we were doing. And my husband hated all the things that I was suggesting. I was trying to make him go super plant-based, and he was miserable, and it was always an issue. And like, this just isn't sustainable. So anyways, I learned about carnivore, and I was like, okay, like here's actual doctors, here's like real, like knowledgeable people talking, and like, it makes sense. Let's give it a shot. And so we did carnivore, and all of this is relevant, I promise, to the question. We did carnivore I was like, let's go into this. I think we set a goal of like 30 or 60 days. I don't really remember, but I was like, let's set a goal that we're going to go only meat and animal products for X amount of time. And this was the whole family. I was like, everybody, we're going to go in and do this, like, because we're just going to do it. Right. Let's see how it goes. And the results were so phenomenal. Like, I saw results from our youngest all the way up to me and my husband. And I think we ended up doing like 3 months by the end of it. And then once we kind of did that, I was really feeling like a lot of the healing that I needed, like, was happening. And so my hormones were balancing, my skin was looking great, my energy was fantastic, right? All these things. My husband consumes a lot of sugar. And so he had like keto flu for a while because he was detoxing off the sugar. I'm not thumbs upping you because he was detoxing off the sugar. And so he was really not feeling so hot for a minute. But then once he got past that, he was like feeling amazing. And so when we came to the end of that like first 3 months, I was kind of like, okay, what are some foods that I really do enjoy that I could bring back in like one at a time to see if they're affecting me, right? Like that's always the thing first. You've got to wipe everything out and then slowly add stuff in to see what's affecting you. Because I was noticing that when I was trying to eat plant-based and do all of that, I was feeling miserable. And I'm like, why? I'm eating all the superfoods. I'm eating all, like I'm doing all the things, but yet I'm bloating. My PCOS was just ridiculous. I was having all these issues, right? And so when I started adding in just a few things here or there, I was really watching to see, is this aggravating my PCOS? Am I getting bloated? Am I getting, weight gain back? Is my skin, am I seeing stuff, kind of watching that? And so from that, I kind of found, I have like a handful of plant-based things that don't bother me. For me, if I'm eating like bakery fresh bread, especially sourdoughs or anything like that, in moderation. I have to be for real with myself. In moderation, that's a big one. It doesn't bother me. Like I was getting fresh baguettes from a local bakery and simple 4 ingredient baguettes, and I would just have a little slice of one with some like fresh, real butter. And it was delicious. I was feeling great. I was seeing no side effects or things from it. But yet, the kids want to go out for pizza or something and I feel like junk afterwards, So for me, it was really kind of watching and seeing those things. And so I now eat a little more ketovore, a little more relaxed, meaning that like I try to mainly focus on meat and animal products, but I have some plant-based things that I've kind of gone through that. That's why I explained the story. I kind of gone through that testing process and I know they don't really affect me in that way, as long as I stay for real with myself on them. And I can start to feel it. The moment I've eaten too much of something, I'm like, ooh, I can feel it. Nope, there it is. I'm going to go back. And then, so for me, what I'm kind of doing is I've been happy. I kind of sit in this area. And then if I feel like maybe I've gotten a little too lenient with myself, maybe I just kind of need to recycle myself through a little bit, I'll give myself 30 to 60 days where I get real strict with carnivore again, and kind of, hey, let me just, I don't know. I feel like it's worked out well and that keeps it sustainable. I love salad. I love so many of these things. And again, it was finding the things that didn't actually aggravate my body. And now I just really focus on eating those. We're very excited about this. And so when it comes to, like, somebody asked, taking the Lord's Supper if we only eat meat. Well, I absolutely am going to break bread and partake in the Lord's Supper. Like, absolutely, I'm still going to partake in communion. Like, we do that, especially during any feast. We always do that together. We just celebrated Hanukkah. Are you kidding me? Latkes, donuts, like that's what Hanukkah is all about. Our family, so we do, I feel like we try to not be like overly strict with anything. I think it's all in moderation and balance. And so, we had some fresh rolls on the table with Hanukkah. We had donuts for breakfast, but what I love about it is because we try to eat so consistently that way, that even our kids, they ate a donut and then we're like, yeah, I'm good. Because we do stay on that carnivore ketovore side and we do try to keep as much junk out as possible. Even when our kids do consume it, they're very quick, even our 5-year-old, very quick to like self-balance and be like, I'm good. I've had enough. Like, I don't want to feel gross, And so we do, we'll do special things, over Yom Teruah, we had apples and honey and, so we'll do different things for different stuff like that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Of course, it's just, like my mom has a gluten intolerance. She will get violently ill if she does, take, so a bite of a roll will make her violently ill. So she's like, yeah, no, it's not worth it. Like, she'll partake in communion with her gluten-free cracker that she has, because first she's like, it's not worth it. Like, I don't want to feel miserable. Why am I going to do that to myself? So I feel like it's one of those things that like, I can eat a donut and then be like, all right, I'm good. If you don't have the self-discipline, and that bringing that food in is just going to cause you all to like derail and go off on the other side, then don't do it. Don't bring it in. If it's going to be like a bigger issue, but again, that's a hard issue because we're getting into like that self-control and self-discipline there. If you have enough self-discipline, for me, I love feeling better and not hurting all the time. My PCOS had gotten so out of control. And so to not hurt like I used to, and I lost some weight, I'm feeling better, right? All these other things, like I don't want to go back to feeling like that. So that's enough motivation for me to be like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'll be disciplined here on this because like, I don't want to go feel that way. So I think that's what I would, more so focus on is it going to completely derail your whole family or whoever it is that, is involved here? Because if it's going to derail you, then that's one thing. And so we did start, I shared a while back that and Sabrina knows this because I called her literally from TJ Maxx one day. I declared that we were going to have fancy dinner every day, because why do we save fancy dinner for just these like, I want a fancy dinner every single night. Like that is what is missing from my life. I want to sit down with a sweet little appetizer. I want to have a meal and a little dessert. And like, so we're doing this and I will say that it has happened most every day, right? Some days are some days. But like right now, my husband is sick. I can't walk. I ordered a Walmart delivery of frozen pizzas, and that's what's dinner tonight, because here's where we are. And it is what it is, and we will all survive in the world to keep on spinning, right? So it's not going to be very fancy. But every night I like pull everything out and I set the table with all of our thrifted china and whatever, just because it feels pretty and it feels nice. And so yes, most of the time that literally looks like a piece of steak slathered in butter sitting on a plate. So I get that that doesn't seem very like exciting. Like I might put out some cheeses, maybe even a couple crackers for like a appetizer of sorts before our meal. And then dinner usually looks like a big old hunk of steak on everybody's plate with a bunch of butter. And so, it's not a bunch of side dishes. I mean, I think that was kind of the cool thing about carnivore is you don't have to make a billion side dishes. You don't have to, have all the extras. It actually makes it really simple and easy. So like that is quite literally what it looks like the majority of the time. Do we make rolls from time to time? Yeah. Like I said, a fresh baguette I found really doesn't bother my system. And so we'll usually go pick up baguettes, split that up and like have a little something to go with it. Dessert is quite often, like whipped cream with some berries is one of like our favorite desserts. And again, carnivore friendly. So you can still have, those things. And yes, I absolutely take the time to pull out all my little dishes and all my little things and make a big mess and set all the things out on a pretty display. So even though it's just cheese and steak and some berries and some fresh whipped cream, like you played it all out and it just feels so lovely and so nice, even if it's not that plate with like a side of every color and, all of the bits and pieces in it. So I mean, you've been at our house. That's like quite literally what it looks like.
So when we came over, we were actually there during a feast. Yep. And we're not carnivore. Mm-hmm. So the question, did you offer non-carnivore things for your guests? Mm-hmm. No, you did not. However, during the feast, there were rolls on the table, mm-hmm. and we never lacked we were never hungry. Like that was never a thing. We did eat a lot of meat, mm-hmm. but not in a bad, weird way.
Yeah.
At our house, because I got sick, because I got progressively worse, mm-hmm. that's a better way of saying it, because I got progressively worse, during my really intense periods, I will not cook. And then when I can cook, I have told my family that I can provide them the protein. I will cook the protein. And then if you would like something to mix it with. If you want to put it in a tortilla, if you want to put it on a piece of, like, I don't care what you do with it. Protein is protein. So that's what we did. And so my husband and I got really very used to eating just quite often the protein. And my husband is allergic to, he found out he was allergic to like all kinds of things. And so when he went to your house, he felt great because he found out that he is allergic to wheat and corn and peanuts and soy and sesame, and like
literally what's in everything, right?
It's all the fillers in everything. So he felt great going to your house. Mm-hmm. We never lacked for anything though, and it made a great feast.
Yeah, like, and I think it would have been that, like, because we had talked about it, like, hey, this is what we eat every day. Like, are you good here? Are you cool here? Because if you would have been like, hey, like for Thanksgiving, I made up a huge batch of my homemade mashed potatoes that I make every year for Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And I absolutely made those up and I ate them. They were delicious, right? Because my brother was like, whoa, you're making your potatoes, right? Like, I'm not going to miss those. Right? I'm like, of course not. Like, I'm happy to make them, right? So it's one of those things where it was like, this is what I normally make. We're all good? Like, is this fine? Because of course, if somebody was like, oh, hey, are you going to have the such and such casserole that grandma always made? Or I don't know, whatever it is. Sure, of course, we can absolutely have that. I may not eat it, or maybe I'll just eat like a bite of it or something. But again, where's my self-control? Where's my self-discipline? Do I have the ability to just eat a bite of that and be okay? Where like my mom has an actual intolerance. She cannot eat a bite of that. She will not be okay, you know? And so I'm like, oh, hey, like, yeah, maybe I'll eat a bite of that. And then I'll be like, all right, I'm good, because I know how that's going to make me feel and everything else. Like, I'm going to step away. But like you said, it actually was really nice, because then your husband felt fantastic, because all the food that was served was actually building up his body instead of him having all the things that, yes, they're easier, more convenient, whatever, but then he feels like poo afterwards. So
yes, he did not have the option of having them all in the house. And that temptation, it really does make a difference. But at the same time, like, he did ask you, hey, can you buy a box of chicken nuggets for my wife?
He did.
And you were like, of course I can. There can be a box of chicken nuggets in our freezer. Of course, that's availability. Sure.
Right.
But it wasn't a temptation to you guys, because you're like, oh no, that's not normal for us.
Right.
Okay.
And I think that's that big difference in it, you know?
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. Completely agree.
Because if you think that I go around literally like bonking people over the head, I mean, I might give my kids the side eye and be like, really, is that really what you're going to have right now? But, but I love, like, if we go out to a restaurant, I let my kids order whatever they want to order. We don't keep soda in our house. Our kids will, every single time we go out, order a soda. And I love it because our second youngest the other day was like, ooh, Mom, I really don't like going there. I feel really, really sick. And I'm like, you eat steak there. Like, what? There's nothing in the food that would be doing that. And I go, hold the phone. This place that we happen to go to has Fanta orange soda, which is disgusting, but she loves it. And it's the only place that serves it that we like go to on like in our normal like life. So every time we go there, that kid will get like 3 refills, like it's nothing. So I'm like, whoa, hold the phone. It has nothing to do with that restaurant or that food. What are you drinking? How much of it are you drinking? So we go one time and she goes, she did what I did. And she's like, I'll just do an unsweet tea. Miraculously, she felt so much better and had such a wonderful time. So I'm like, you learned your lesson?
Mm-hmm. I think some people have to learn it for themselves, and alter for themselves. And then it's.
Will she still order a Fanta sometimes when we go? Yeah, because she really loves it. But then when they come and ask if she wants a refill, she goes, oh, no, I'm good. And then we'll usually ask for a water.
Yeah. So we're going to switch it up completely.
Love it.
Right? So
I love it, like all the different tracks, right? But if you're hanging out with friends, like, wouldn't that be what it would be? You'd be talking and be like, oh, I totally forgot. Da, 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 da. Love it.
You know, I was really going to talk to you about this. Like, would you consider bringing your church ministry to any other platform?
Ooh.
This person says that they haven't had Facebook in like 4 years. It's a personal conviction. And it's not something they want to dabble with. So the only platforms that they choose to use are things like YouTube. And they would like to know if it were an option that you bring the church ministry to YouTube or another platform besides Facebook.
So it's really cool, I think, since we've had so much growth this year, for this to kind of come back up, because we actually battled this for years to figure it out. And I will say that personally, I have never been the biggest social media user, like on a personal level, but I, for over a decade and a half now, have used it for business purposes. And I found that even just using it for business purposes, it became very addictive to just constantly, I'm looking at my competition, what are they putting out? What am I putting out? Like, what are my numbers? I'm tracking the stats, da, 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 right? Like trying to do all the things. And so I know for me personally, like I even really stopped posting on our Instagram, and Instagram is really where Heavenly Minded Home used to be, Minimalist Homeschool. Like that's really where it started. And so we have some stuff that like auto posts, but as far as like being on it regularly, I had to look at what was like sucking up my time, and certain things just didn't make the cut, and that's fine. And I know for me, like I actually deleted my original Facebook account, and I have one that's like a very private one that I really don't have any people on. Like it's where I have a few family members that are so special to me that like, that's the best way for me to like share stuff with them. Although I'm awful at it, because I can't tell you the last time I actually shared something of value over there. That I probably should go do that. I realized that I didn't put, I think, like anybody's birthday pictures on this year. I don't think I did Travis's. I didn't do Brandon's. So I need to like at least update some like family things. But I've got like older family members, and like that's the best way for them to get on and see stuff. So I try to make sure that like I update it periodically. But I use it for church, because when we started the church stuff, we actually really were like, didn't know where to go and what to do. And somehow with talking with everyone, Facebook groups, kind of just always came back to being the best answer. And so like right now, our church, we host everything through a Facebook group. For me, I don't use, that's why like I never add people on Facebook, because I don't use it. I literally, it's a few times a year, I post pictures to family members because I'm like, I haven't done that. I should probably do that so they can see, right? Like I'm doing right now. So you'll probably see a bunch of birthday pictures later today. So like I do that, but I use it for church, and that's it. Because for me, I was like, I don't want to go down that road. I don't want to get into all of that. I don't want to hear everybody's 2 cents on everything, but I do want a way to connect. And so if this is a way that I can connect, then I'll use it for that. And that's really it. I really don't use it. Like I even have on my phone, I just click a button and go straight to the group. I don't even go like on Facebook. So I don't find myself just like aimlessly scrolling for no good reason. And I know there's quite a few of us on there who do that, because it was kind of one of those hard things where like Facebook offers the group, everything's free. There's no limits to how many people we can have. We can stream full time, right? There's all of these things that go into it that when you're looking at other providers, you either don't have those things, or it's additional costs, or whatever. So that's kind of how we just ended up on it being Facebook. Because it is funny, of the core of the church, between my husband and I and his associate pastor and his wife, none of us are actual Facebook users. Like we're actually giving our associate pastor and his wife a hard time, because like their pictures, they have more kids now. Like their pictures are so outdated. They actually had professional portraits done with a photographer here on our property. And I was like, y'all need to go update your Facebook pictures, because he's still like in military uniform in one of his pictures. She's missing a couple kids. And they're just, because they're not Facebook people. They don't post, they don't post on there. So I think it's funny that of our core people for a church that we host through Facebook, none of us are really Facebook users. You don't use Facebook. Like the core of us are not Facebook users. And I think we really hadn't utilized hosting on YouTube at first just for the sake of privacy, because we do come together as a community. We share prayer requests, right? We do so much with one another. But I think especially with the growth and the different things, the guys had been hesitant to put their stuff out there for a while, because you put something out on YouTube and you just end up finding a bajillion people that want to argue every little thing with you. And they were like, that's not what we're here to do. We're here to teach and to go through God's word, not just deal with nonsense. And it's one thing to have a difference and to debate and discuss things from a biblical, like mature stance, but that's not usually what you find on YouTube. So they had been a little hesitant in that, right? But I think we've really been looking at kind of going into this new year and where everything's going with AMP Home Ministries. And we really would like to get everything that we have done backed up onto YouTube. So getting everything onto YouTube is something that we do want to do. Sorry, of course I get notifications for doing this. It's that frozen pizza order that needs to get delivered. So I want to make sure that it's not, you know what, that's just going to be what it's going to be. And it is what it is. What are you going to do? I have a broken foot and my husband's out there burning up with a fever. I mean, at this point, sure, substitutions are fine.
Nourishment is nourishment.
Yeah, I don't even care at this point. We'll take it. So getting stuff backed up is a huge undertaking. Sabrina's actually been working on that with us. And these guys have put together so many teachings. We have like hundreds of hours worth of teachings to get them backed up, edited, like take out the personal stuff, get the message, get it uploaded, like do all of that. It's a huge undertaking. They've been putting out material for over 4 years now. So it's a lot, but it's something that we're actually really excited and looking forward to going into this year. Another reason why Sabrina needs to hurry up and move so we can really just start like pumping stuff out here. It is something that I think we will always keep the Facebook group. We've tried like other off Facebook because everybody says that, oh, I don't want to be on Facebook so much. And we're like, oh, okay. Like here, our group, we host it through Geneva. We don't host it through Facebook. And we had tried that with the church before, but then nobody actually wants to go and download another app and like do the things and whatever. And we're like, okay, it's like this impossible situation of some people don't want to use Facebook, but some people say they don't want to use Facebook, but they don't actually want to use anything else. And you're like, all right. So we'll probably always keep the Facebook group as far as having a space of gathering. It's private, so we can share prayer requests and really lift one another up and not feel like your information's just like floating around the internet. So we'll probably always use that, but I know we would like to get things backed up and have it to where when service is streaming, it might be streaming in the Facebook group, but it would also be going to our YouTube channel as well. So like if you pull up our YouTube channel, there is some stuff on there already. So you can go and kind of meet the guys and see, what they're like and what they teach and whatnot. But as far as getting things backed up and having stuff coming out on there regularly, it is absolutely part of our like goal and plan for this year.
Yep.
Because it would be nice. I mean, it would be fantastic to have.
So this is absolutely something that I've actually been working on. Mm-hmm. And some of our pastors are so knowledgeable and want to share everything, all of their knowledge. Mm-hmm. It some of them do this at such great lengths mm-hmm. that it continues to crash my computer.
Like when we say this, we're saying that it was not, and anybody who's like our OG AMP church family here, it was not unusual for Sunday service to last 3 hours, easy. Like in that first,
and that's just the teaching. We don't.
Oh yeah, just teaching. 3 hours teaching.
This is a normal church service consists of worship and prayer and greetings and all the things. This is just greetings and lesson, sermon, teaching.
Yeah.
And that was it. And so the files keep crashing my computer.
Yeah.
And I tried to upload one of them, and the service is an hour and like 17 minutes. It took like 31 hours to upload it to YouTube.
Oh, no.
So it was crazy. So we're trying really hard to do this. Facebook is not our first choice ever, but
No.
it is what is available.
Mhm.
I genuinely don't even know how to post on Facebook.
Mhm.
I've never done that. So like that's my level of engagement. I
Yeah.
had to make my husband a Facebook account so that he could be part of the church and
Yeah.
do the stuff with the church because he didn't even have a Facebook account
Mhm.
for any of it. So yes, we really. If you have
Yeah, we're the pro Facebookers over here. Like
No.
we're not. We're genuinely not those people. And again, if it works for you, it works for you, and that's fantastic. But it really was just the best option we've been able to find all these years to make it happen. And having stuff backed up is something we've always tried to as we went. Like I've always tried to like back it up so it could be on podcast form and be online and YouTube and whatever. It just it's a job all in and of itself. It really is.
But we are condensing them. We're gathering them together. We are trying to upload them. We do have some lessons on the YouTubes, and I can gather them and link them under in the description box.
Okay.
But I mean, if you guys have a better idea to like a better Facebook, absolutely. Like Facebook probably will never go away. It's just there, and that's where it's hosted. But if you know somewhere better to host it, that we could do this in a better capability, please let us know. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. We are all ears, 1,000%.
Because it's kind of like the best of the worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, Facebook.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, but it's like, ugh, I think we all kind of have that like feeling.
Okay. So, how do you have a joyful heart towards a non-believing husband when you do not feel appreciated and it's like everything you do is wrong?
It is one of the hardest things in the whole wide world, I think. I know I've certainly battled this, and most of my life did not respond to it in a good way. I responded to it like my flesh would want me to respond to it, which of course just made my marriage issues worse, my own walk with the Lord worse, right? Like it just like added all of these problems on top of it. But I'll be totally honest and say that I absolutely responded that way for far too long. And I think it was really as that spiritual maturity started to grow within me. And I mean, scripture tells us to do all as if we're doing it for the Lord. Like that's not just like a cutesy story or illustration. Like that's literal. And so for me, and I'm an imperfect person just like my husband is. And there are still days when I'm like, I am serving the Lord right now and not you because I want to scream and lose my marbles like you are driving me nuts right now, right? Like we have our things that we don't, agree on, or I wouldn't do it that way or whatever it may be. And I'm sure he feels the same way about me all the time, like it happens. But to genuinely, it was like when it finally clicked in my head and I was like, hold the phone here. It's by my conduct that my husband can see, right, and come to truly know the Lord. It's I'm here, and that's why we call everything heavenly minded, right? It's having that eternal like headset, seriously, like that focus where you go, what actually matters here? So God, you're telling me that if I trust in you and I do all like as if I were doing it for you, that like you've got it, you know what's going on, let you do you and I'll stay in my lane. Okay, let's give that a shot, right? It was kind of one of those moments for me of like, if his word's literal, like if it means what it says and it says what it means, then it's me who's the problem. I'm the cog in the machine, that's goofing it all up because I'm not trusting you at your word. And so being like, all right, You call me to be joyful. You call me to not keep records of wrongs. You call me to be patient. You call me to be understanding. Like, you call me to be not easily offended, right? Like, I'm called to be all of these things, which I know because I'm staying in the word every day to keep these things on the forefront of my mind. And so I'm going to respond that way. And I'm going to bite my tongue a lot. And I'm going to be in prayer constantly, even if it's just silently in my head going, Lord, you better put an army at my lips right now, because I'm going to start saying things that probably shouldn't be said. And I need some help here, put that guard on my mouth to just stop it, And so there's definitely plenty of those things, but it's amazing to see that the more I committed myself to trusting what God said and to doing those things, that means, shut my mouth a lot, letting things roll off my back, not getting offended and emotional over everything, just continuing on and being like, I'm going to do what I know is right. Even if you're not doing what's right, even if you're not even appreciating what I'm doing, right? Even if you're making fun of or whatever it is, like, I'm going to keep doing it, because at the end of the day, I'm not promised tomorrow and I have to stand before the Lord and give an account of everything I did, down to every careless word, right? So when I stand before the Lord and I give an account, I'm going to say, hey, my husband was kind of poopy, but I kept doing the things, and I kept doing it because, Lord, I'm serving you and I'm trying to serve you through what I'm doing for him. And so maybe you don't receive any reward for it here. Maybe your husband continues to be a jerk. Maybe life continues to stink. I don't know. I have no idea. That's above my pay grade. But when you stand before the Lord and you give that account, God knows you'll receive your reward then. So if we're trying to be nice to him just to get him to be nice to us, or to do what we want him to do, or to become a believer or whatever, then you're missing the whole point of this in the beginning. And so I'm going to be nice to him and be patient and gentle and uplifting and all of the things I'm called to be, because I'm serving the Lord. And I love, when Jesus says, those of you who do what you do to get a reward here, don't you realize that that's the only reward you will receive? Like, what goes unrewarded is what my Father will reward you with eternally. And so, I'm sure there's plenty. And does it, of course, for all of us, it feels great to hear, good job, that was awesome, thank you. Like, we all want to hear those things. Yes, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? But we should keep showering that out, even if we're not receiving any of it back. And maybe change starts to happen. Maybe things get worse. Maybe it takes decades to see anything change, right? I don't know. None of us know that. But we know that God does see it all. And so we just keep going with that faith and trust, not that he's going to make our husband this perfect man, but that he is perfect and he's got it all. And so we trust in him, through all of that. And so that's probably not the answer anybody wants, right? Because it doesn't necessarily fix it right now, but I think it's really important.
Okay. I wrote down, if you are so committed to prayer, you can't snap back.
I love that. Mm-hmm.
God put an army at the tip of my tongue, at the front of my mouth. If your brain is so working on prayer and doing the continual, God, get me through this, God, get me through this, your mouth cannot be doing something different than your brain. So maybe prayer needs to be more on the forefront. Mm-hmm. However, as a very practical thing, have you genuinely data-oriented, not emotional-driven, data-driven, gone to your husband, and if you feel like everything you do is wrong to him, data-driven, husband, I would love to know how I can serve you better. What would serving you look like? How can I best do that? Because that's my job that God gave me, and I need to do my job really, really well. So, husband, can you please tell me how to do my job really well so that I can serve you, because that's my job for God?
And I think, like you've pointed out before, but literally tell him, I do not want to come at this emotionally. Like, so I'm trying really hard to check myself and be serious with yourself and say, I am here to collect data. Like, I'm here genuinely to receive information, and maybe don't even respond to it. If it's making you feel upset, like I am here, like reporter, collecting the information. Thank you.
Stone face. Like, you cannot be.
But I do that, What do you mean?
You said that I needed to on Thursdays, and I do this every Wednesday night. You just don't recognize it. No. Data. Husband, genuinely. I just want the data so that I can go back and process this on my own, because something seems to be awry between the expectation that you have and how I'm understanding it. So maybe we could come together, and honestly, if you feel like you need to do this in a public place over a cup of coffee because you can gather yourself and not be emotional around other people, because that's a set rule system that most people have within themselves.
Right. We're always better parents out in public because we won't scream at our kids.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, darling, please stop throwing that temper tantrum.
But like, have that conversation about expectations. And if you feel like you're always doing it wrong, voice that in a data way. I see that it appears to me, this is how I would word it to my husband. It appears to me that your expectation was not met. And I really would like to meet your expectations. So can I have you verbalize your expectations to me so that I understand them in your words, and that I'm not just making some assumptions, because my assumptions are almost always wrong. And I want to know what would serve you in your time best.
And that's such a genius. I mean, it seems so simple, but like, it is so genius. Like, I know for us, this was a few years ago, Brandon and I were kind of at a breaking point over something. And I'm like, I do not get what his issue is. Like, I have so much that I keep up on, and I'm trying to keep the house all together so it's cozy and lovely and wonderful for everybody. And now, like, you're still cranky and whatever. And literally what it boiled down to is, I am so focused on the entirety of our home and kind of setting this like tone and feeling and like atmosphere. I feel like, very importantly, that is my job, that the last place in the world I ever get to is our bathroom, because I always have it set in my head that, okay, tonight when I get a shower, I'll just clean everything in there. But the reality is by the time I get there, I'm toast. I'm done. Like, it's whatever. So we kept having this where he was like, you're never doing the things that matter to me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm always doing everything, right? We had this, like, we're on two different planes here. And it finally came down to it. And he was like, he's like, have you not noticed? Like, I've even taken some cleaner in there and like started doing different things and whatever. And I'm like, no, I haven't noticed, because I'm never in there, right? Like, I run in real quick. I do what I got to do. And like, I'm out the door. I get ready like that. Oh, I'm so quick with the things that I do. And, it literally came down to, he was like, he finally, because we did this, we finally had that data driven conversation. And essentially for him, he could care less if our entire house looked like a tornado went through it, as long as our bathroom was clean. My husband's a super germaphobe. Like, he is so nutty and weird. Like, he will not use a hotel bathroom unless he has scrubbed it himself. Like, that's just who he is. Okay. Like, he's that guy. And so he was like, our bathroom needs to be clean. Like, our bathroom was tidy, right? Like, I mean, it wasn't like, it's only our bathroom. The kids don't use it. So it's not like it was anything like ridiculous, but to him, like, that's his, like, you should be able to walk around with your little white glove, like, he wants to see that in the bathroom, and he could care less about everything out here. Meanwhile, I have every label in our pantry turned the right way, the fruit, right? Like, I have all these things like that. And he's like, yeah, who cares? I don't care. Can we please just make sure the bathroom stays clean? And so, but it was having that like data driven thing where I'm over here spinning my wheels, getting so frustrated, because I'm like, what is your deal? Like, I do everything for you. You just get to exist and everything is just done for you. Like, how are you dissatisfied? Which I could have responded very emotionally and been like, dude, what's your problem? Are you crazy? Like, I do everything. And the difference was just our air waves weren't even hitting each other, because he's like, I just really care about the bathroom. That's the only thing I care about. And it was like, oh, huh. Well, that makes sense. So we asked for help with a housekeeper while I'm, unable to really move much. And I told her first time she came over, I said, okay, our bathroom has to stay pristine. If you could help with that, I would be forever grateful. And it was the very first thing she did is she went in there and she got everything, like all done and fantastic in there, because I now know, right? Because I have that data that like on the list of things that I know matter to him. And I want to reach that, I want to do the things that matter to him and prioritize them and show him that I'm listening, right? Because the worst thing is to ask your husband for the information and then just like disregard it. And I'm bad at that because I'm like, I don't really think that's what should matter. We're going to go back to my plan. And he's like, seriously, you asked, I told you. And then, so don't discard the data, guys. But then to take that and I say, hey, even because I'm going to be down, I'm going to ask for help. And the first thing I'm going to tell her is we have to make sure that this stays, picked up on. So, I mean, that was just like, I don't know, I guess a kind of practical situation, for us. And it was like, oh, we were on two totally different wavelengths. No wonder we were having issues. But if we wouldn't have had that conversation, that like data collecting conversation, I would have just continued to go on holding a grudge and being cranky. And he would have felt ignored and, whatever. Mm-hmm. Nothing good.
Your husband's definition of clean was the bathroom. Mm-hmm. And your definition of clean was the house.
Yeah.
And so your definitions were different.
Yeah.
I have used the example of, I really want a spaghetti dinner. That's the expectation I have. If I were handed a steak, I would be stoked. There's a steak in front of me. It's going to nourish me. However, I asked for spaghetti, mm-hmm. and steak is not spaghetti. Mm-hmm. And so if I have the expectation of spaghetti and somebody hands me steak, I'm going to go, oh, this is weird. This is not spaghetti.
That's what I was going for. Yeah.
But if that's spaghetti to them,
mm-hmm.
they don't understand that they just handed you a steak.
Yeah.
So while you can be grateful for the steak, spaghetti is still your expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And if the person who were handing it to me said, but I'm feeding you, well, I am being fed. I'm so thankful I'm being fed. I had the expectation, and see, that's what it is. Expectations, they're internal, and nobody even recognizes that that's what it is. Because when I ask somebody, well, what was your expectation in this event? And they're like, I had no expectations. And then I continue to talk to them. They're like, oh, wait. I was like, well, that's an expectation by that. Well, I just wanted, oh, well, that's an expectation. It's just, that's not what we call them. They're the goals, the little internal things that are like, here's the pinpoint, the goal, here's the moment, here's what I need. It's an expectation, y'all. It's not a big deal. We all expect things all day. It's fine. It's fine. You're not high maintenance because you expect things. Like everybody expects things all day long. I expect to be able to breathe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I expect to be able to use my broken foot. I can't.
Right? And life has to adjust to your expectations being not met. And so how you deal with your expectations not being met is a big deal. If your husband's dealing with his expectations not being met in a bad way, talk to him about why his expectations are not being met and how you can meet them. And then even if he's dealing with it in a bad way, you're doing your job, because you can't always calm a temper tantruming 3-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you give them the right cup, it's just a temper tantrum they're having. And that's okay.
Adults are having temper tantrums. It happens.
It's okay. But then you feel better about expectations being met. And I did this to serve God, not you, but I met your expectations and I can do this because it all works better.
Because it's trusting that you're doing your part and the Lord's going to grow and do whatever it is. Maybe it means your husband gets worse for a while. Maybe it means it takes a long time. Maybe, I don't know what it means, right? But then you're going to hit this point, right? What, be it on this side of heaven or there in his presence, where the Lord goes, I saw what you did. You continue to do that. And don't think it's gone forgotten, because even if your husband's not, I do plenty of things every day that I know my husband does not notice and see and appreciate. Right. And it's kind of one of those like, ooh, man, I'm going to be off my feet for 3 months. I guess we're really going to see what mom does on a normal basis, because, things won't be happening. I walked, and I know we need to wrap this up. My dogs are barking. I'm wondering if that's our frozen pizzas. But I wobbled myself to the fridge because my husband's down with a fever. And I said, well, okay, I need to get some water. And we have those little like clear trays in our drawer of our fridge that we put our sparkling waters in, try to keep things neat and tidy. And I wobbled myself over there because I knew I had ordered some in our Walmart order. And I opened up the fridge, one-legged, right? I'm like a pirate hobbling around with a peg leg. I open up the thing, I open up the drawer. There's no waters in the drawer. But what is in the container where the cans of water should go, is tortilla chip crumbs. And I'm like, right, I do that. And I'm like, I don't even know where my waters are, but they're not in the fridge. My husband's like burning up with the fever. The kids are trying to keep themselves occupied. Everybody's trying their best. I'm like, Heidi, just go sit down. It's not the end of the world. Like, I expect for our fridge to look a specific way. I clean our fridge out from top to bottom every single week because that's something that bothers me. I'd like to know where things are and to be able to see things quickly so I can do grocery orders and like whatever. I couldn't sit down. It was driving me crazy. I'm like, okay. I expected for people to not be spilling tortilla chip crumbs in a drawer. Like, how? I have so many questions. I don't even think I want the answers, but I have so many questions. I expected for the kids, when they brought the grocery order in, to just know that meant refill the waters in the thing. All these little things that like I do, I would never just put them in there. I'd go restock and then refill. And so the stuff gets moved through appropriately. It was all those little things that I was just like, okay, there's no sense, right? I'm like, see, nobody appreciates what I do. I notice in the pantry, kids are just like chucking stuff in. And I'm like, no, there's like a system and you line stuff so we can easily see. And that's not what's happening. Okay, it's fine. So I did totally clean out the fridge and then made the kids bring me the waters and we refilled them and did all of that. So I did do that on one foot, but Alexis already yelled at me today. It's okay. I've already been yelled at for this, but it was just one of those things where I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to go sit down and relax. I'm gonna be thinking about this the whole time, and it's gonna drive me crazy. Like, I get that it shouldn't, but it will. But you start to notice those things where it's like, I know my family appreciates it. Every time they go in there, everything they need is exactly where they know it's gonna be. Everything is full, nothing's missing. I always have multiples, so we can just pull up the next one if you're about to run out. I ran out of coffee creamer. I don't have waters. Like, all of my things have been nowhere to be found until somebody comes to me and goes, oh yeah, mom, you don't have any of that. And I have to go and order it for myself. But it's those little things. But I think it's when we always expect to be appreciated and to be validated. Is it great when it happens? Yes, of course it is. But I think it's also unreasonable to think that we should get it all the time. And that's not being mean or like keeping us poor little women held back. Nobody actually gets validated every single time. It's not that validation's wrong and it's a great thing. It's something you've actually brought up to me that I try to work at to do better because I'm actually really, really bad at it. And it caused issues between me and one of our daughters, and you actually noticed it and brought it up. And I felt like a horrible, horrible mom because you brought it up and we're like, you realize she's seeking validation. Like, she wants to feel validated by you. And I'm the worst person in the world at this, which is funny then, because then I'm like, why does nobody see what I do for you all? It's like, I'm one of the worst people at this, but yet I'm, wanting to see it as well. So I think just remembering those little things when we do it, that like, of course, everybody wants to feel validated, heard, encouraged, or everybody wants to feel that. But it's also not realistic to think that we're going to get that for every single thing. Then again, that brings it back to scripture where Jesus says, hey, the reward you get here, the praise you get here, that's it, right? Like, what doesn't get rewarded is what the Father sees and what he will reward. And so I think that just brings it into a lot of perspective of like, that's okay. I don't, is it nice? Do I appreciate it? Yes. Do I want to give it and share it? Yes, of course. But is it necessary for every little thing? No. And can I keep going with that same level of enthusiasm? Yeah, because I'm working for the Lord. And so I can. And are some days going to be easier than others? Absolutely. Because some days are difficult. And some days I do not like my husband. He's driving me crazy, right? Like we are not on the same page today for whatever reason. Or do we totally butt heads on a topic or a problem, or I don't know, whatever it is that's come up. Like that happens. Everybody has that. You and your husband are the sweetest people in the whole wide world. And I know you guys have plenty of things that you guys butt heads on, because that's what happens. Do you love him? Are you guys still best friends? Is you're married? Like, yes, all of that stuff is there, but you have times when you don't feel validated by him. And I'm sure he has times when he doesn't feel validated by you, but, yeah, I think when we understand our expectation going into it too, that helps, right? It's those expectations again. If I'm expecting him to notice everything I do, yeah, it's probably never going to happen, because that never happens to any of us for anything. Like that isn't something that happens.
When you realize that your expectations are kind of unrealistic, and that you need to get more realistic about your expectations, I think it's a little bit better.
Yeah. And let's be for real, we all struggle with that at different points.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Well, I think it's about time to go get a refill of cocoa in my sippy cup so I don't spill it on myself. And I got a really cool, I figured if I'm going to be icing my foot for the next 6 months, I might as well get something a little more like, I don't know, just easy to use. And so on Amazon, it's an ice pack, but it's literally formed to wrap around your whole foot and ankle. Right. So instead of having to like stack stuff and make it all work or whatever, it was like $10, and I throw it in the whole thing. And it's literally like a little booty that you just connect on, but the whole thing's like an ice pack. So it's really nice. So I think I'm going to wheel myself out there, put my little ice booty on.
It's time to ice and elevate.
Yeah. I'm thinking so. I'm thinking it's about that time.
Cocoa, ice, and elevate. This sounds great.
Perfect. This is great. It was awesome to get to catch up and to share. I know we went a little long, but it's kind of fun. I missed you last week, right? So I was like, your household's at least feeling better-ish. That
everybody got a small podcast last week, but they get a little bit longer one this week.
Add them together, average it out, and we're looking good. Well, friends, thank you so much for hanging out with us this week. Of course, if you guys ever have any questions, just leave that little coffee cup emoji so we make sure that we get yours answered next week, I believe, right? Yeah, next week's the last one. So next week, I want to do a very special, last chatty coffee date of the year. And really, I've asked Sabrina to think about some questions because I want to talk about kind of just get into the depth of what this year has really meant for the whole ministry here and for our family specifically, and really kind of have a raw conversation on that. So I'm really excited for that. You guys be back here next Saturday for that. Got some fun stuff we're going to do this week. Again, Janice, Dia, Tachi, everybody who sent little goodies and things. I do appreciate you so, so much. And everybody who's just sent their prayers and their well wishes. We do. Our family really genuinely does just appreciate y'all so, so much. And we will be back next week with more. So see you all then. Bye, friends.